All right, we are talking to River Eckert, 16 years old, rising star, jazz, blues pianist, vocalist, composer already from New Orleans. Deeply rooted in the classic New Orleans piano style, he's widely regarded as a prodigy, carrying on the music traditions of icons like Professor Longhair, James Booker, Dr. John, Fats Domino, and Alain Toussaint. Welcome to Denver here, River.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Yeah.
So your dad used to be the lead guitarist for the Dirty Dozen brass band?
Yeah. My dad was in the Dirty Dozen before I was born, up until I was probably like 4 or 5 years old. He was still rolling with them, and I remember being at the backstage at those concerts as a toddler, and then I've been told I was backstage there while I was in the womb as well. So I think it's safe to say that the Dirty Dozen was my first introduction to music as a whole.
Oh my goodness. What other kind of music was being played in your household growing up?
As a toddler?
Yeah.
Oh man. I can't remember very good, but if I had to guess, it was probably a lot of New Orleans music, and maybe people like the Allman Brothers as well, and Tedeschi Trucks band, Stevie Wonder, maybe the Beatles, all sorts of things.
So, okay, you started tinkling on the piano when you were how old?
3 years old.
And that was just 13 years ago. You're still 16, right?
Yep, that's right.
So, did you get piano lessons?
Yeah. Well, I started at 3. I was just pressing buttons.
Sure.
And trying to figure out melodies, and then my dad showed me "Lean on Me" by Bill Withers as my first song I learned. I just learned the melody like one finger ba 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 ba, and so that was the first thing I learned. And around 7 or 8 years old, I started taking lessons with the teacher at my elementary school, and that gave me a foundation to piano and my piano technique. And that teacher, she was a very tall, strict Ukrainian woman.
Why are they all mean?
I was terrified of her, but her teachings paid off, because every teacher I've ever had since has been like, man, your technique is just spot on. So I thank her for that.
Well, what about the singing part? You sing as well.
Yeah, I started singing at 13, I think. Not too long ago, but it's always something I've been told. If I added that to my performances, my game would step up, and it definitely stepped up my game. And since then, I've always been working on my vocals, and I think I've sang at every show since I sang for the first time on WWOZ radio.
Oh yeah,
sang St. James Infirmary as my first ever song. That story is funny because we were outside. I live around the corner from the Maple Leaf Bar, right here in New Orleans, and
sure.
We were walking by. We walk by a lot, like take a walk every night, and we were walking by, and our friend Leslie Cooper, who's one of the DJs on OZ, was like, "We should get you on the radio sometime." I'm like, "Sure, when?" She's like, "How about tomorrow morning?" I'm like, "Sure, we don't got nothing to do." And so she's like, "Do you sing?" I'd never sang in my life, and I was like, "Yes." And so I went home and figured out the words to St. James Infirmary, and the next morning I went on air and sang for the first time in my life, and it went pretty well. I was pretty happy with my performance, and that was when I was 13, I think. Yeah.
So you're still going to school, right?
Yeah, I just finished my sophomore year here at New Orleans Center for the Creative Arts, NOCA, in New Orleans.
Oh yeah,
and,
sure.
Yeah, I'm starting my junior year in August. Yeah.
What kind of music did you gravitate to growing up?
Or
an artist?
As a younger kid, in my elementary school, middle school days, I listened to a lot of Beatles and Michael Jackson and stuff.
Yeah.
And New Orleans music's always been in my ear because I've just been backstage at my dad's shows and going to Jazz Fest and French Quarter Fest since there's a picture of me in WWOZ when I was like 1. Uh, so New Orleans music has always just I've been aware of it. But in terms of what I was like listening to, and just terms of listening to music, that was Beatles and Michael Jackson. I was a youngster. These days, it's more like Stevie Wonder and a little bit of Beatles, but more on like the Paul McCartney Wings side of things. And but New Orleans music, I've always been aware of it.
Well, you're surrounded by
Yeah,
New Orleans musicians. Holy cow, you've got them all there. You're in the hotbed of jazz and more, not
that's
just
right.
jazz, but in New Orleans. So what kind of advice do you get from these guys? I mean, you've been hanging out with them, right? They're always going to pull you aside. You're 16 years old and you're going, okay,
Yeah,
you need to remember this.
yeah. I mean, somebody like George Porter Jr. has told me just remember to be a kid while you can. And then a lot of those guys, like the old dogs, they've been through it, born in like the 40s, and they're still around today. They tell a lot. I get told a lot. Stay away from drugs and stuff,
Oh, yeah.
and don't get caught up with all that BS and stuff. But
Right.
a lot of it's also just encouragement. Like keep going, don't stop. I get told a lot to keep writing music. Um, and yeah, it's all those types of things. Mostly encouragement. Not really too much to like tell me I'm like you need to go this way or you need to go that way. It's more just like stay where you're at and you're gonna be all good.
Yeah, just go with the flow, right? Your name is
Yeah.
River. All
Uh-huh.
right. So what was your very first performance on stage, and how old were you?
Um, I don't think I remember, but my first like performance
Yeah.
was probably a classical piano recital, if I had to guess, when I was probably 7, 8, maybe even 5 or 6.
My goodness.
But it was definitely a a piano recital. And then my first like gigging
Yeah.
performances happened out at this place in Harahan, a little right outside New Orleans, at a restaurant called Siler's Seafood.
Sure.
Yeah, and so my dad, he would have a gig over there every so often, and what he would do when I was about 12 or 13, he would bring me up for like a song or two, and then he would finish his set, and then eventually I would play the whole set with him, and then eventually I'd play the whole set alone. And so that was my first like I guess through all that that was when I was learning repertoire, getting comfortable playing in front of a crowd and singing in front of people. And all throughout that, George Porter Jr. he would come out and watch every so often,
Yeah.
and occasionally he would put $100 bill in the tip jar, and he'd tell me to make
Wow.
sure that I get it, and he said, "Make sure your dad doesn't."
That's great. Well, you got a new
Yeah.
album. You got your debut album out now.
That's right, yeah, self-titled debut.
And you composed it, right?
It's so the album. I'll give you a little background. When I was in 8th grade, we wanted to shoot some video here in the studio where I'm in right now, and so we recorded 3 songs, 3 of some of the earlier New Orleans classics that I learned to play with George Porter Jr. and Terrence Higgins on drums and John Foale on guitar, and I think my dad played guitar on one also, and then Roger Lewis from the Dirty Dozen played sax on some, and I thought that was just going to be some video, and a couple months later, the videos came out, and you're like, we have 3 recordings. Let's just start finishing an album after all this. So we got those 3 songs recorded, 3 of the earlier New Orleans songs I ever learned, and from there I wrote my first ever 4 originals, and that's the other songs in the album. And then we put one more cover on there called Tico Tico,
Oh,
a
yeah.
song that James Booker used to cover based off his version. So the album is half originals and half covers, but it's not just like any originals or any covers. It's half of my first 4 originals and half of some of the first classics that I've ever learned to play. And so the album is like an introduction of myself to the world, blending the past with the present, and that builds the future.
Wow. Well, we cannot wait to see you perform live here in Colorado at the Ned Jazz and Wine Fest. That's coming up August 22nd. River,
That's
tell
right,
us,
yeah.
what kind of show is this going to be?
Oh, this is gonna be a great show. I don't think we're having a rehearsal or anything, but so it's gonna be, we're gonna jump up with some guys who I've never met either, and go for it. But the music will be New Orleans style, funky groove, and of course I have a bunch of originals I'll probably play, and yeah, we're bringing the spirit of New Orleans out to Netherlands.
Well, that's what we're expecting, and it sounds like we're going to get it, too. We're going to play some of your music from your album here. River Eckert, 16 years. When's your birthday?
October 9th,
Okay.
2009.
All right. So
going on 17 this year.
Oh, man. Well, good luck. Good luck on your journey, River.
Yeah.
And we can't wait to see you at the Ned Jazz and Wine Fest, August 22nd, right here in Colorado. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.